everyone, to our third episode of Leap to Learn, the Edvantage Way. And today, myself, Dana, and co-host Hazem are going to talk about a couple of things that are very important when it comes to deciding where to go and what to actually study. So countries and majors.
Yes. So welcome everyone again. Yes, we're going to be talking about, as you mentioned, choosing your major and choosing the country you wish to study in.
Yeah. Now, which one do you think is more important?
I honestly believe when it comes to choosing or which one is the more important is what major you should go for.
Okay.
So I would say the major is quite important because this is really your life's decision. What do you want to be doing for the rest of your life?
Okay. But I also think where you study is actually quite important, because if you're there for, let's say, on average 4 or 5 years, in a country or a city that you are not comfortable in, or you do not like, or you do not fit into, that's going to be quite difficult. So choosing the right place is also...
Oh no, choosing the right place is very important. I'm not saying it's not, but I think choosing the right major is a more important factor.
Okay.
Because let's face it, some countries are better at certain majors.
Yeah.
You know, and that kind of, like, when you think about it, okay, there are 193 countries worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we're not going to say you have the option of all 193.
Yeah, of course.
But it is quite a big number to think of. And the same can be said for majors.
True.
But when it comes to majors, you kind of have segments of what you want to go into.
Yeah, I guess you can kind of narrow it down and then see what paths are available.
Yes. So let's say, for example, you can study accounting.
Okay.
Accounting can be studied pretty much anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
But where are some of the best countries to study in?
Well, it depends on how far you're looking at expanding, your knowledge. It depends on, whether that university and degree is actually accredited in your country. It depends on whether you actually want to study it in English or not. So, for example, there's quite a few really good universities in the UK for accounting.
Yes.
Accounting and finance. And they're known for their level of education and their reputation and the opportunities that come after studying at those universities.
But not just that, even countries like the US,
True.
India would be one of them.
Yeah.
But the idea is, when one of them is the language you want to study with, and is one of the defining factors.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, usually people aspire to work for multinational, international companies. And when you look at where those companies are usually based or where they're headquartered at,
Yeah.
they're kind of in very specific countries, and those opportunities could come from studying in that country.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, I guess, you can either look at it as a whole and say, I've got 3-4 options of popular countries, let's say, or most common
Yes.
countries. But then there are personal factors that can really narrow down those options, or maybe pick something that's completely out of it.
Exactly.
I've heard students come and say, I want to study in, for example, Sweden, which it's not a very common choice. It's not a very popular choice of location to study. And my first question is always, why Sweden? I have nothing against your choice of country, but what attracted you to pick Sweden as a country? Or, for example, Poland? Or I think we had one student once that was looking at some European country. I think it was Ukraine or one of those countries.
They were studying in the Ukraine before the war that started there.
Yeah, but why did they choose to go study in Ukraine?
Exactly. Some things can be beyond what reason we have.
Yeah, and it's amazing to understand why or what the opinions of students are. Like it's really, really interesting. But it's good to know that opportunities are out there.
Of course.
And that's the main thing that we always want to let students know is, don't limit yourself. There's hundreds of options.
Exactly. Now, yes, that kind of is why a country is important. but really is choosing the correct career path the most important thing?
Yeah, because it's what you're doing for life, basically. Or I don't want to say you're stuck to it for life, but it's that idea of what you go study is what you're going to go and work as or in once you're done.
You kind of want to be the best in what you do.
Yeah.
So some people know something about everything.
Yes.
And when you kind of choose a career path, you start to know everything about something.
Yeah.
And do you really want to know everything about whatever career you choose or whatever major you choose?
Yeah.
That becomes a very valid question to ask yourself.
Yeah.
And by knowing where you're going to end up working, kind of reverse engineer it into what you want to study.
Yes, that's true. But it's also very important to know what career paths you can take from a particular major.
Yes.
A lot of people would think business management means I'm either going to be managing a team or sitting behind a desk all day, and I don't really want that job. But in fact, with a business major degree, there are a lot of options of things that you could be doing, different varieties. And I think we had a look at some online, and there were some really, really interesting ones that we saw.
So one thing people say, oh, what do I do if I study business? Do I just work as a secretary?
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's not just that.
Yeah.
You can end up going into HR.
Yeah.
Because it is under the umbrella. Marketing is under the umbrella of business.
Yeah.
Public relations.
Yeah.
Sales.
Events.
Events management. Yeah, it does fall under. You are right. The research.
Yes.
Business research, you can go into something that is a very different type of business. So there's so much you can do, like even banking.
Yes.
You kind of, it plays into a business major. So really, yes, business is not just sit behind the desk and fill in forms or fill in something.
Yeah.
So definitely I would say that is a very important thing. Another one that people don't really get is something like computer science.
Yes, which is now becoming very, very popular, actually.
Exactly. And computer science has a lot of, what's the word here? Like a lot of different paths that you can go to.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, especially with how technology has kind of developed over the last X amount of years, and the opportunities that come with that and the development of tools, etc. So it's not limited as it was before, whereas now it's kind of really spread. And plus, with remote working as well and all the possibilities that you have going into a computer related degree really opens up to the future as well.
Exactly. Like with the popularity of something like ChatGPT today.
Yes.
This comes from the world of computer science, or it branches out of the major of computer science. Yeah. That is one career path, working with AI.
Yeah.
That other things is working as the traditional jobs that we come to know today, such as network administrator, software administrator, software designer.
Yeah.
There's so many things. You can even work for your local police force, such as cybersecurity. Yeah. That is part of computer science.
Yeah. I think it's, people still think of it as a very small field where you're just basically fixing things, fixing computers, fixing networks, fixing, operational systems and so on. But it actually goes a lot more than that. And with that degree, I think it depends on where you end up being. So you could, for example, with a computer degree, go and work at a school if you really like education as well, or if you see yourself in that kind of environment, because schools require, assistance with computers, their computer systems, and depending on how in depth they go with their computer systems. Schools nowadays, they provide tablets and laptops for their students, so they need to be secure. They need to be, adapted to a system that they have, a software.
Communication is digital today.
Exactly.
It's no longer, here's a letter to your parents.
Yes, exactly.
It's like they will contact the parents directly digitally.
Yeah, and schools have so many systems set up where they can communicate internally and then it communicate externally with the parents and the students, etc. And that requires somebody that has that that mind for computers and softwares and building and connecting. And it goes further than that. You can work at a hospital where you are helping with the hospital systems or, the machinery and the equipment and the tools that are being used in the hospitals, then and there. You've got, as you said, the police for cybersecurity reasons. Governments are trying to build systems, systems that work throughout a country and connect everything together.
Yeah.
So it's not the old traditional style of, I'm just going to go in and fix computers and fix what a problem is, IT, people in IT, I think, or computer studies, I think are very, very important people.
Oh, yes.
We do need them. Things happen all the time. And I think it's very important to have somebody that at least that understands how they work because,
telecom, everything we use is dependent today on some form of computer science.
Yeah, and I think it depends on how you use it.
Yeah.
And how you develop it. It's interesting. It's a really interesting one.
Something like engineering, we know the core ones, which is construction, which involves civil, industrial, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
We know things like electrical, but those even go deeper.
Oh, yes.
I remember back in the days when I used to read about different majors. Under electrical engineering, there's nano electricity or nano engineering, that is connected.
Yeah.
Today with the Internet of Things.
Yeah.
Smart homes, automations and all that kind of thing. You need electrical engineers for those.
Yeah.
You kind of have the computer science aspect of the one creating the program, the smart appliance or the smart
device.
The code.
The code. Okay, yeah.
And then you have somebody else who's creating the device, which is the electrical engineer.
Yeah.
And those people work in tandem. So it's not just, it's fixing an electric socket when you're an electrical engineer.
Yeah.
There is way more that goes into it. There's physics, engineering involves a lot of physics.
Yeah.
You can end up becoming a physicist out of an engineering degree.
Yeah, which then is needed in the medical field, in a lot of research type fields as well. So it's not a straight path.
Of course.
Right? It's not a direct of, if you study this, you become this. And I think this is something that a lot of people are not aware of. They think more of the traditional way of, I'm going to study this and I'm going to become this. Yeah, but you can become this, and this, or this even. You can be a combination of them all, or you could be, one of these other options as well.
Exactly.
And I think, that awareness really expands a person's mind into thinking more about the future and not just settling for something because that's what's available and that's going to get me safely into this kind of job.
Exactly. And when you kind of select the major, now this is where I would probably involve the country. Look at that country and its work with that major.
Yeah.
Okay. For example, it may be a far-fetched major or something a lot of people may not think of as a major, but someone who wants to go into rocket engineering.
Okay. That's very far-fetched.
I wouldn't say it's not far-fetched, but it's uncommon.
Yeah.
It's an uncommon major.
Yeah.
But let's say you want to go study that. So we kind of limit down the countries already just by selecting that major.
No, of course, yeah.
But then you have to think, where would I be working?
Yeah, that's true.
So you're either going to be working within military hardware creation, or you're going to be working with something like a space agency such as NASA.
Yeah.
And that you kind of think, okay, so studying something like rocket science or rocket engineering is going to have to go through a country like the States, most likely.
Yeah, because obviously they've been doing it for years. So they've got the knowledge, they've got the tools, they've got the facilities.
But they also have the jobs.
They have the jobs as well.
Think of a country that doesn't have a space program or does not create military hardware.
Yeah.
What is that person going to do when they get back home?
Yeah. That's usually when they end up in a dead-end job, just to have a job and not actually utilize what they've studied. Yeah.
Exactly. So one thing maybe to make our audience aware of is when selecting a major, where are you going to end up living?
Yes.
Not just the country you're going to be studying in, but where are you going to end up living?
Yeah.
Because you may choose a major that there is no career prospects. The country does not need it.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
true.
Like you may decide to go study linguistics.
Yeah.
But, or, speak different languages or something, but
they're not actually required. There's no job for it, or there's no benefit to you learning that, or speaking another language. I mean, I think there's always a benefit to learning another language, for travel experience, etc. Maybe for certain jobs, yes,
unless you want to become a translator.
Or a translator.
But what else are you going to? A tour guide, what if your country is not popular with tourism?
Yeah, that's true.
Then really you're stuck with translator.
Yeah.
And maybe this isn't what you want to do for yourself.
Yeah. What I find sometimes is that students will very, very, very limit themselves to a certain major thinking, this is what I want. This is what I want. Yet there are no jobs for it. And you have to think ahead as well because, okay, let's say you're going to study now 2023. Now you graduate 3-4 years later. What are the job opportunities going to be then? Is the country you're planning to work in developing that field? Are they going to be opening up jobs? Do they have jobs in that field? Is it something that they're interested in? Like, do you have opportunities for that?
Or it could be a field that's dying out.
Or it could be exactly a field that's actually dying out and they're not going to be kind of progressing in that way. Is it a field where, you would enjoy actually going out, traveling long distances, being outside all day? Is that something that you're looking for? So there's a lot of things that you do kind of have to think about in the long term rather than just, this is what I'm going to study.
Yeah.
Because things change.
Exactly.
You saw how quickly, during COVID, how quickly we had to adjust to everything being online, which meant then we had to look at systems and we had to look at ways that we could actually implement some of the services to be online or in a safe environment.
True.
We had to adapt to that, but we also had to get advice from people that were familiar with computer systems and programs and all of these and setting it up to be smooth. So during that time, nobody expected it. Nobody expected this situation.
But it became a necessity for our survival.
Exactly. So from now until 2026, 2027, what's going to happen? So don't just think for tomorrow, but always think way ahead as well.
What is the future carrying?
Yeah.
Something like Europe wanting to go net zero emissions.
Yeah.
By 2030.
Exactly.
And a lot of companies, a lot of major corporations are taking action to make that work.
Yeah.
But, so what's the world going to be like in 2030? Are we going to be dependent more on electrical powered cars, for example?
Yeah.
Which means you're going to when those who go like electrical engineering may become more prevalent for automotives, not just for common household or technology per se.
Exactly.
Because these are electrical systems, these are batteries, make them efficient, make them work.
Yeah.
So that's why definitely thinking about where you're going to be or what's going to be happening within those 3-4 years from now is very, very important for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I think it is an important factor. Now, while also selecting those countries, another thing to be aware of, in my opinion, would be the culture.
Oh, yes. Yeah, our culture is very, very important, especially if you haven't been to that country before.
Yes.
And then also keep in mind that going as a tourist is different than going as a student.
Oh, yes.
So a lot of people would say, I'm going to go to the United States because I've been to the United States every summer for my entire life. Yeah, but you've gone as a tourist. You may have a house there, fine, but to actually live there, study, get through your day-to-day.
Adapt to the culture.
Yeah, and possibly without your family being there. You might be alone for the majority of it as well.
Course.
So adjusting to that lifestyle.
You get things of being homesick.
Oh, yes.
You know, yeah. Sometimes I would advise students or even parents, think of how close or how far your child's going to be, or or your parents are.
Yeah.
You
I mean,
know?
if you're not one for traveling, then, you know, United States and Australia.
Depends where you are in the world.
It depends on, but, you know, if we're talking from here, it's both are quite a long distance. You know, it takes up a lot of travel time.
Yes.
It's very exhausting as well. I mean, nothing wrong with the countries themselves, but the journey. If you're not one to be traveling that far, you don't enjoy that process.
True.
Think about that as well.
That is one thing, but also other things like what, like depending on what culture you come from, what is the other culture like? Are they the exact opposite of what you do?
Yeah.
Are they similar in something? Like the difference between, for example, Japanese culture and American culture.
Oh, yes. Very
You
different.
know, like in a lot of cultures, for example, entering someone's house, it's customary to take your footwear off.
Yeah.
Whereas somewhere in the States, it's actually seen as rude to take your footwear off.
Yeah.
So it's very opposite sides of the coin, even opposite sides of the world to an extent.
Yeah.
But you know, yes, you have to be aware of what the culture is like.
That's very true. And I mean, you know, I don't think you can learn everything before you go, but the most important would be to be aware and to be accepting to some extent. You know, as long as it's not affecting you as a person, but you're just respecting the other person or you know, people or families or cultures, countries, etc. There's that respect. But it's also important to just kind of be aware and kind of observe, what are people doing? You know, oh, every time I enter this person's house or every time they enter my house, they take off their shoes and I haven't asked them to. Okay, so this must be something that is in the culture.
Yes.
You know, they step into a house, they take off their shoes and then they walk in. You know, where other cultures or maybe even just people as individuals may not follow those rules.
Yes.
You know, so even though they are from that country and built into that culture, they themselves don't.
Like this is an interesting one I heard. So apparently, if you go to Japan and you have a runny nose and you need to blow your nose,
Yeah.
it is actually rude to do it in public.
Oh, I think I've heard of that one actually.
Yeah.
Which I kind of agree with, because it's not the nicest sound in the world, but at the same time, to be aware of it, you know, because if you're standing in the middle of the street blowing your nose, not realizing that this is disrespectful, you're going to get some pretty weird looks, I think.
Yeah.
You know, and then that's going to make you feel uncomfortable as a person, and it just kind of builds up from there.
But like in other cultures, you know, sniffling is very, you know, it's frowned upon or quite rude.
Yeah.
You know, so you would have to blow your nose. It is a bit of dilemma coming from different cultures, the way people do different things.
Yeah.
But it's a good idea to also see if, like, do some research and see if you're comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like you are going to be spending a year or 3 or 4 together.
Yeah.
But, you know, you have to be aware.
And you have to be aware, I think, also of the lifestyle as well. You know, like, are you one of these that lives a very fast-paced lifestyle, you know, no planning, just go for a very spontaneous, quick move? Or are you more of a kind of calmer person, a bit more organized, relaxed? Because, again, different places would have, you know, I'm assuming like, let's say New York and London, very fast-paced areas.
Yes.
You know, it's just people are on the go. People are not stopping for anything. They want to get from A to B as quickly as possible, utilize that time, being productive, making phone calls, sending emails while they're on the train.
You're hustling.
Yeah, and it's very fast. It's very non-stop, you know, and you just go.
True.
Or you've got quieter areas where things are a little bit more chill.
Laid back.
Yeah, you know, you're going to get the bus. The bus is going to arrive at this time. So, you know, you need a 20-minute walk. So you just, you know, take that walk peacefully, maybe go out a little bit earlier and take a 30-minute walk, but then get there. You know, the bus is going to be arriving at that time.
Yeah.
You know, from there to there is going to be a 20-minute ride. And then from there to there is going, so it's kind of more organized, calmer, peaceful in a way.
Yes. Yes.
And that you've got to be very careful with.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't think I would survive very long in a very fast-paced life, although I do live a very fast-paced, day-to-day going, things popping up, things, kind of under control sometimes. But I don't think I would want people around me living that way as well.
No, I would say, for example, that, if like I do prefer a fast-paced life.
Yeah.
I think if I stayed in a more relaxed, laid-back style, I'd become too relaxed, too laid back. That's me personally.
Yeah.
That's me personally.
Yeah.
But, I prefer the hustle and bustle of a city life movement.
Yeah.
I don't think like living in a countryside, I'd be able to do that for long.
Yeah. I mean, a countryside would possibly get very, very boring, but it's just that kind of calmness. And then you can kind of step out into the busy city and then come back to somewhere a bit quieter. So you've got that balance in a way. Whereas if it's continuous, 24/7, busy, moving, noise, I don't know. I don't know if I could be rushing for public transport every day and not knowing whether it's going to be there or not. I think that would drive me crazy.
That's true. No, I think it would. But, moving on quickly now, like one of the other things is when you're beginning to think of your major, your country, and start creating a personal plan.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Start creating, this is what I would like to study. This is what I would like to do. This is kind of like a vision board type thing.
A vision board, pros and cons, give yourself options, really think about why yes, why no, why here, why not there, and really kind of plan and organize that. And this is the process that we go through with our students anyways.
Exactly.
As a free consultation, just to kind of get them on the right foot to start thinking about these things.
Exactly. So like, as you said, this is what we help our students do. And, our free consultations kind of, we listen, we advise, we do some psychometric testing or questioning just to see if it works or not for a student in any sense. And we even speak to the parents to see if they're comfortable with their children's decision.
Yeah.
Just to we want everybody to be working together, getting somewhere together. And that's what we strive to do.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's important, and, it just ties everything together nicely.
Yeah, definitely.
100%.
And that's it for today's episode.
Yeah, all right, excellent. So we'll just wrap it up there then, and looking forward to the next one, actually.
Yes.
The next episode.
And again, if you want to seek information, consultations, always look for a professional. They'll always be more than happy to help.
Yeah.
And we'll see you in the next episode.
See you.
Bye-bye.